Welcome to our today's masterclass, Building Cyber Resilience in the Wake of Optus and Medibank Data Breach. I am Abu Barkatullah. Most people know me by Barkat. I'm working as an associate professor at the Faculty of Science and Technology. I am also a course convener of graduate certificate in cybersecurity management. So welcome everyone. With the current rapidly expanding connectivity and technological innovation and sophisticated online criminal networks make cybersecurity a critical issue for every industry and economy at large. And what we are seeing currently is very scary around us, isn't it, across Australia. So before I start today's talk, I just wanted to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of Ngunnawal people, where our Bruce campus is situated. We wish to acknowledge and respect the other continuing culture and contribution they make to the life of Canberra and the region. We also like to acknowledge the First Nations people on whose land we are gathering here or online, and where you are located. Some housekeepings. Please, there will be some activities, polls, participate on that, and I will guide you through. Virtual classroom, always you can be distracted, so please try to find a distraction-free area if possible. As Louise mentioned, you can ask question and answer. Please unmute yourself or put it into the chat room. Happy to answer anytime, and this session will be recorded and shared with you after the session, I believe. Now, in 2022, I think it's one of the worst years of Australian cybersecurity history. We are looking at November. Today is 28th of November, but I don't know if you have followed. In January, actually, there has been a data breach, which actually been impacted to 500,000 vulnerable people, and it was an international crime. In February, again, around 500,000 information was leaked from NSW government. September, we have seen Optus, they're saying around 1.1 million customers' data has been compromised, and they were asking for ransomware. Just after that, Medibank, the criminals, at this moment, roughly 9.7 million customers' data, personal information, health claim, about 500,000 has been compromised. October, we have seen another one, is the Woolworths MyDeal, which compromised 2.2 million customers' data. In November, in ACT, we have seen there is a breach in legal aid ACT, and that involved the data of the most vulnerable people. And if you have followed the news that legal aid ACT had to relocate some people because they're not only the digital asset, which is their personal identifiable information and sensitive records, legal records has been compromised, but also they had to move them or relocate them physically for their safety, right? So these threats are happening and attacks are happening in Australian digital infrastructure, digital organizations. If you look at the incident, this is from the ACSC Cybersecurity Threat Report from July 2021 to July 2022. So most recent, like this Optus Medibank may not be here, but if you look at it, most of the sector has been targeted. It was mostly in the past was the Commonwealth agencies, but state, local government, then healthcare, information and media technologies, education and training, professional services. So you can see water, waste service, everybody has been in target of these cyber criminals. which would sometimes confuse us because we are seeing that attacks on the large scale recently, but in the last one financial year, mostly those medium to small, medium-sized business, which have got 200 to 199 employees, was actually most targeted, and their cost was mostly high, which is around 88,400 per incident. So my question is to you all is, you can see we are getting more and more target attacks in our facilities and more criminal activities from ransomware, which we can see most, then ID theft, stalking. There was a bit of romance and dating scam in the past as well, investment, fraud, online shopping. So these crimes are happening all around: malware, bullying, harassment, threats. And the most surprising thing is, according to OSCyber, their digital census, that 75% of the attacks, again, Australian organization, are not reported yet. So that means these unreported cyber attacks decrease the national cybersecurity, and it can cause more disruption to our digital economy, more disruption to our country, more disruption to our critical infrastructure, more disruption to our life overall. And the scary part is the number of cyber attacks is expected to double over the next 5 years. I don't want to scare you, but the situation is that. Now, before I talk further, I would like to use your camera. If you have got a camera mobile device, you can just scan this QR code, or you can just, if you have a browser, please go to Poll AV. It is ABUB. So I have got a URL, ABUB, and then if you go there, you will be able to see there is a quiz popped up for you. Can you please see this? Anybody? I'll give you a few seconds to join in and share your response. So why Australia is facing more and more cyber attacks? One is weak investment in cyber infrastructure and security, fair point. Increased connectivity to the world, definitely. Have not adequately prepared. Look, this is a journey or a road. Sometimes I say, look, we have built the road gradually, and maybe we don't have adequately prepared. Another person says lack of cyber security and safety awareness. Absolutely. Lack of readiness as awareness is too low. Yep. And we have seen lack of awareness. I can see a lot of the people are saying lack of awareness. Depending on the third-party data center, that's another problem, because we have got, the cybersecurity supply chain, and we have got third parties involved, and which creates another issue. If you are secure, but they are not secure. I have got another response: not enough cybersecurity professionals, which is true, and we need more 3,000 workers by 2026. Depends on MSPS. We don't control our own data, which is the debatable question. Lack of awareness. No, thank you very much, everyone. I couldn't agree more than what you have shared. Okay, outsourcing work to foreign country to reduce cost. That's covering our supply chain, right? Or when you're talking about the supply chain, I guess it's not only Australia, it's just more information and financial online. It would take more attractive for the hackers. Look, this is another good reason, and that Australia is, and globally, we are doing more and more activities online. If you just Google around, say, what happens in 60 seconds in the internet, you'll be surprised. The amount of financial transaction we are making is more than million. The amount of email we are sending every second is millions. So with that, it will be very easy for us to track or send some phishing emails or some malwares to get some money. It's good. It's a good business. And if you look at the other side, is Australia, our median income is more than any other countries in our world as well. So all of this actually making us bit attractive to our hackers. Yes, the last people are well off in Australia. Thank you. So all these things you can see, it's not on one reason, it's a combination, it's a layered approach. That it could be the reason why we are getting more vulnerable to those cyber crimes. But it's a good time actually to alert ourselves and raise the awareness and take necessary steps. And that's what we are trying to do. So thank you for your active participation on this. Really good, thank you. Now, another thing I would like to mention here is the cybercrime ecosystem. In the past, it would be the hacker would be someone really genius who could be working and try to hack the system for his own hobby, own issues, or own activist. Now, it has become as a business. So you can get cyber crimeware as a service, which the operators may have developed, and it can be hired out, such as ransomware as a service. You can get the service, or if you have heard about distributed denial of service tracer or any other malware, you can get it. The case may also include spammers to hire out the spamware as a service as well for the phishers, for the scammers, or bot headers to rent out command and control. And someone can write a code for you or sell the vulnerabilities. Oh, I have identified that vulnerability. If you think about Optus circumstances, it has been noted that one of the API was unencrypted. So if someone discloses this vulnerability and sell that information to others, so you don't need to be a genius. You want to have the intent, what you are trying to achieve, and then pay someone for that. You don't need to take your risk for selling or trading the data. You can use the data brokers. What they're gonna do is they can sell or trade the stolen data set. They can sell the victim profiles and share the money with you. And definitely it needs the dark web. And that's why we talk about the dark marketeers. They sell or trade the information, usually via the Tor network, to the dark market, so that it is not trackable. We have also seen the rise recently, the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is having some beautiful aspects. One of the aspects is anonymity and that security layer. And if the ransomware or ransom has been transferred in terms of crypto, it is really difficult for us to identify who has been involved. So this monetizer group, actually, they work in this area. And then what they do is they organize and manage the financial return to the attackers by laundering the cryptocurrency, or it can be turning into a flat currency, definitely for a fee. There could be another party involved in this journey, we call the hosters. They will be using very secure protected service for the content to be uploaded or disseminated, or definitely all this stolen information or this stolen data. The last part and another critical important part is the negotiators. This is the final group. They actually work for the ransom amount. They can be the ransomware consultant for the offender side or the attacker side. Also, they can be the negotiator on behalf of the victim. I'm not sure if you have heard that Colonial Pipeline incident happened last year, and FBI was involved in the part of this ransom. They paid $6 million. At the end, they were able to get back $2 million. But negotiators play a big role. And this time with the Medibank incident, they are trying to threat, through the dark web. Every day you get seeing that they are releasing bit of data and threatening the Australian government to pay the ransomware. So above all the points you mentioned, we can see that cybercrime ecosystem is getting more organized. Cybercrime environment is bringing more facilities rather than just by itself. It has got a community now. So no matter whatever we do, there will be attacks on the assets, because every invaluable asset is attractive to these criminals, regardless of cyber criminals. It can be any type of criminals. You don't really want to leave your home insecure, right? You need to lock it up. You don't need to leave your money unsecured. You send it to the bank. They follow some rules and regulations. But no matter what will happen, will be attacked. So it is not a matter of if. It is for all the organizations, when are we going to be the victim? If we haven't been victim, we are lucky. Now, with the current model, they say a cyber attack against Australia could cost up to $12.6 billion, which is really a big amount, isn't it? And we would like to avoid that circumstances. So I need again your help a bit. If you can help me and go to the next question, please. I'll just change the slide quickly. What consists of organizational cybersecurity? This is just a simple question. I have got, okay, a few questions is attack, defense, maybe infrastructure security, or oops, sorry. I think I just made it. Yep. So I can see everybody is saying all of them. What about others? Do you think the same? Is it all of it? It includes attack, it includes defense, it includes infrastructure, it includes system security, it includes software platform security, or human organizational regulatory aspect. I can see now it has been changing. Yep, 90% are saying all of them. Few percent are saying infrastructure security. Okay, I will leave it for 10 more seconds and see your opinion on that. All right, so I think everybody is saying it's all of them. And yes, I agree with you. It's all of them. If you look at CyBOK, that's the Cybersecurity Book of Knowledge, they have identified 5 major areas. But in the past, actually, we used to think, okay, this is more or less, about the technology, right? With the firewalls, some networking equipments, and also some on-the-shelf or off-the-shelf antivirus software that builds the organizational network security. However, protecting the digital asset of the organization or the nation is multidisciplinary. I think we all agree with this, that cybersecurity today involves anything from tools and technology to the behavioral practice and procedure. If you are running a exercise, cybersecurity exercise, 1 or 2% there is an error, that's a big number, big vulnerability. So it is more than the technology, which traditionally been understood in terms of hardware, software, or services, is the diversity. Is the diversity, and you can see the regulatory aspect. I put it on the top, human, organizational, regulatory aspects, because if you look at the notifiable data breach report, around 40% of the, most of the time, 40% of the data breach happens for human error. So we need to develop our human firewall so that they can work as a shield against those cyber criminals. We need to have organizational policy and procedure and regulatory aspects. I think you might have heard that Australian Privacy Principal, our current Minister of Cybersecurity, they are working on updating some of the penalties. Because in the past, it could be charged only $2.2 million, but now it has been changing so that if there is a big data breach happens and organizations are not paying adequate security measures on it, they are more liable to the government or the regulated aspect. System security, as always, it's an important aspect where operation, network, system security includes the decision for handling and protecting the data asset and permissions of the user when the network and the procedures determine on how and where the data may be stored. Some of you have mentioned that about the data center or the data storage. So you can build this requirement for the organization. So look, if it is data, we need to keep it in Australia or somewhere, that needs to be agreed upon. Infrastructure security is another important aspect of cybersecurity. That's securing the computer and digital networks. Software platform security, another important aspect, focus on the software and intercomputing platform, and which includes mobile, cloud, and web applications. And we are using more and more bring your data devices. So it creates a little bit of vulnerability in the organization. Attack and defense is, defense, I'd say, is the best offense. So we need to understand how we can defend our infrastructure, then think about, and that it can be easily done with the penetration testing regularly as a drill exercise. And with that, then we can build a bit of security resilience. Do you agree with me? Okay. Another question we have got for you is the cyber resilience. What does cyber resilience means to you? Because today we have got few aspects to talk about: the emerging cybersecurity threats. We talked about the cybercrime ecosystem. Now we are going to the cyber resilience. So what does cyber resilience means to you? It is an open question. You can type in whatever you want. Look at that. People is contributing a lot. Thank you. So I can see ability, yes, ability to be protect, attack, respond, recover. Nice. Continue, manage, defend unauthorized access, events, continue the business, immediately prevented. Nice. Manage, continue, stop attacks. All right, that's a good idea, and that's a good definition. Thank you. I think you all agree that it's the concept. Yes, thank you. I think there's someone added breach, damage, keep it protected, and operate the business, continue the business. So cyber resilience is the concept of business that brings the business continuity. That's right. You mentioned that the business continuity, information system security, and organizational resilience together. So it is the ability to continue delivering the intended outcome of your business, although the business has been attacked, or despite experiencing the challenging cyber attack, or it could be the natural disaster. Right. So thank you very much. I think you all are very much aware of the cyber resilience. So I am here. It makes my job easy today. Thank you. So now how we can increase our cybersecurity resilience. I'll just take back one step and say NIST has got a good definition of cyber resilience, which is whatever you have said, the ability to anticipate, number one, withstand, number two, and recover and adapt from the adverse conditions or stresses or attacks for our organization. So how we can achieve this? It has to come from a lot of good practices. It has to come from a lot of hard work for the organization and the government and the people inside the organization. Okay, so I'll start from this cybersecurity strategy and governance. That is one of the good way, and I'll just reference that if you're more interested, you can look at this ASIC website. They have done a good analysis of cyber resilience, good practices. So we need to have a good strategy for the organization and the governance, how it will be done. There needs to be some ownership, and this ownership needs to be characterized by the board and say who will be responsible for which part. Maybe we need to have a cyber resilience management tool rather than leaving it the tech people, and then have a responsive governance. Because the cybersecurity ecosystem or the cyber crime ecosystem, what I have showed you, is evolving every day. So if you are working in an organization and we need to change our governance very responsively so that it follows the overall organizational interest, also make sure that the strategies, principles, policies, rules are there. And this needs to be reviewed in a regular manner. I need to stress one thing here is cybersecurity is about securing your organizational asset. Cybersecurity is about protecting people. Now, sometimes what we see is while embedding the security, we try to, add more layers, and sometimes it becomes very much difficult for the legitimate users to use it or implement it. So when you are talking about the governance, when you're talking about the strategy, we need to also consider that the cybersecurity policy, procedure, and the practice needs to be user-friendly. We don't need to leave it separate from the community. Then people may try to avoid the good practices. The next one we can think about is, the risk assessment and the threat assessment. We can do some risk assessment early. by the intelligence gathering through the third-party expert or from another organization or by collaborating, and which brings the collaboration. That without sharing and collaborating, it will be really putting us working from the isolation. And with isolation, we cannot beat the cybercrime ecosystem, what is happening across the globe. We need to have the information collaboration and sharing. And that's why you can see Australian Cybersecurity Center is having a portal. If there is an incident happen, respond it to them so that they can work with you, with the AFP, with ASIC, with APRA, all together. And asset management is an important aspect that we need to understand what is the critical information or critical asset we have got internally and externally, and how it is being managed. The other part is always the detection system and process, that we need to have a detection mechanism. So if there is any breach, we need to understand that it has been identified or detected. Maybe sometimes what we see, or several organizations, they have these days SIEM, which is called the Security Information and Event Management Technologies, that actually monitors the data, event logs of the organization. If there is some anomalies, maybe you don't expect something from another country, but that request has been coming, that means there is something wrong. So you detect it and act promptly. And response and recovery planning is another important area where we need to understand how we respond it. We need to do it, because you don't need to do at the event. You need to have the scenario planning, or you can do the wargaming and practice among your team. And there's the way we can recover it quickly, but and seek help. That's another important aspect, is always seek help. I have got another questions for you. Whose role is to ensure cyber resilience? And see, what do you think? Everyone, all of us. That means all of us means country, everyone, organizations, working people, or individual, like every citizen and the organization, employees of that organization, everybody, and globally as well, right? You can see there people are voting with each other. Fantastic. So everyone. So it's not only organization's responsibility, right? That you told me, and I totally agree with you that it is an organizational approach. But how we can better prepare ourselves? I think when we talked about another survey that time, the poll, you said, look, it is not well designed. It was ready on the run. So we need to make sure that we have got a good policy, good standards, good framework, so that the governance is well designed, the policy frameworks are well maintained. So today, I will be going through few of the cybersecurity standards and tasks, standards and frameworks. And sometimes you might be confused, what is framework, what is a standard? So frameworks refers to overall structure to support a system. It is less perspective than the standard and more flexible to adapt it. So that's why I am starting with IASM. And the standards will be structured set of procedures, rules, and the controls that a certification body will recognize, such as ISO 9001, or today we're going to talk about ISO 27001. So what is ISM? The ISM's purpose is to outline the cybersecurity framework that organizations can apply, Australian government agencies or any other organizations, using their risk management framework to protect the information and the system from cyber threats. Mostly ISM is very popular in the federal government agencies, and sometimes the private large organizations also do. I like the principles that govern, identify and manage the cybersecurity risk, and the protect, that means you implement the controls to reduce cybersecurity risk. Detect it, that means detect and understand cybersecurity events to identify the incident. And after that, you respond and how you recover from that incident. And I think you can see what Optus, Medibank, or legal aid city are doing now is responding to those. Should we pay ransom? Should we not pay ransom? We all agree that there is no way we should pay the ransom, because paying the ransom would be bringing more risk, right? So I'll not go through all these strategies what I mentioned in ISM, but if you are interested, please go to ACSC, Australian Cybersecurity Center page, and you can see mitigate cyber incidents. But what I am trying to highlight here is the 8 controls here, which are mentioned, that which is the essential one, the green colors one. So out of this 38, there are 8 controls which actually is important for the businesses. And that is Australian ACSC is saying these are the 8 controls we need to are essential for the organization. That's why it's called Essential 8 or E8, which includes application control, patch application, configure Microsoft macro settings, user application hardening, restrict the administrative privilege so that you don't need to give the same access to everybody, or patch your operating system if there is no patch update available, because the hackers would try to utilize that vulnerability. So patch your operating system, enable multi-factor authentication, and regular backup so that in case of emergency, you can roll back. So they have identified this 8 controls and say, okay, there are maturity level 0, 1, 2, 3. So maturity 3 is the top one. The maturity is 0, that means that there are weaknesses in the organization overall to the posture. Maturity 1 is that the level is adversaries who are content to simplify the leverage of commodity tradecraft that is widely available in order to gain access to or likely to the system. So maturity level 2, and then the 3. 3 is the strongest one and most secured one. We would expect all the organizations should be going that maturity level 3. But it's a long way. NIST is a framework from National Institute for Science and Technology in USA. They actually designed it, and it is mostly used. American companies, most widely used, but any other organization can use it. And it has got 5 principles, the identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, which is very similar to our ISM framework. So there is a similarities. It has got controls and plans. You can use it for your organization. We talked about 2 frameworks. Now we'll be talking about one standard, which is ISO. This ISO IEC, which is Information Security Management System, formerly a governance agreement comprising a structured suite of activities which manage the information risk. Okay. It is overarching framework through management identifies, evaluate threats of the organization, and it has got 11 clauses and 114 controls. It is a matured standard with a holistic approach, and ISO 27001 is being used not only in the cybersecurity but other organizations as well. Some appreciate that it has improved their security postures, it has improved their practices. Sometimes it also been criticized as well because it needs more training and assessment. It has to be approved by the certifiers. So, but always there is an advantage and disadvantage for any standards. It adds more work, but at the same time, what it does, it benefits the organization by bringing the resilience or good practices within the organization. Now, we've been talking about a bit of the framework. Another important aspect is to educate the workforce. Before I go there, I will have one more quiz for you. Oops. Are you familiar? I think so far now I have told you, you have a few frameworks or standards, but what about others? Were you familiar? I will just change the question now. Were you familiar with any of the cybersecurity standards or family practices? It's a guideline, as you can see. Those three I have showed you, Essential 8 from ISM, or you can see the ISO. There is COBIT, there is ITIL. There are a lot of standards available. So thank you for sharing. I see, yep, around 43% says you are not familiar, 50-50 going now, 44-56. Okay, I will spend a couple of more seconds on this to get your answer. Thank you. All right, so we have got a consensus that 44% of you didn't know about this or not familiar with it. Thank you. The next question is, if your answer was yes, you are familiar with cybersecurity frameworks, which framework you were familiar with? ISO, thank you. NIST, AEC, SCS, AES, SFFC, Essential 8 and NIST. New one, PCI DSS. Fantastic. NIST, EA, Essential 8. Anybody with COBIT? Auth 2. So I can see you have got some good experienced people here with us today. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insight. Yeah, so look, there are several standards available and there is no silver bullet. You can use one standards or you can use multiple standards depending on the business interest and the regulatory requirements. OTCA, anybody is familiar with GDPR? Oops, sorry. I think I quickly changed it. Okay, so I'll move on to the next one. Thank you. All right. Do you use MFA? That is multi-factor authentication for your business or your organization or for your shopping. Not sure what is it. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I will explain it. I will explain it. So I can see multi-factor authentication is, we have got password and ID for logging in. Multi-factor authentication could be a net token, which when you're trying to log in with your user ID and password, it will send you, hey, what is the token number? Or an one-time PIN, that this is your PIN. So when you log in with your ID password, there's another layer of authentication so that it's randomly generated number, only you know and the sender knows. So the good thing about multi-factor authentication is regardless if your password is breached, you can still have another layer of protection. It gives us a bit of inconvenience because you need to wait for the SMS code to come in or the net code to come in, but it gives us the benefit. And here, what I really would like to say is secure your password. Use the multi-factor authentication because that gives another layer. We always suggest use the password from 8 to 16 characters long and make it strong with a combination of alphanumeric so that as a workforce, we can contribute. I'm not sure if you have heard the Medibank incident. What happened is one of the credentials from an employer was breached, and that credential had access to several important data stores. So secure your identity, even though if you are not at work, do not publish anything which can breach your private information. Use secured network. Try to avoid the publicly available free Wi-Fi when you're doing some transaction. Change your home Wi-Fi network password or use VPN so that your communication is secured, and act smartly. Here is the 8 commandments from CompTIA. If you look at these 10 commandments, it's really interesting. And I really enjoy that avoid doing secure work in unsecured Wi-Fi networks. This is the survey actually CompTIA did among 1,200 US employees. And you can see the outcome is very, very scary that 45% people are doing online business with the free Wi-Fi or unsecured Wi-Fi. 75% are doing the work email with that. Stay away from random USBs. If you get a USB, do not just plug in. 17% of the employee were doing that. Don't change the password regularly. That's another thing. We need to have a balance of password changing practice. Take advantage of the cybersecurity training. 45% do not receive any form of cybersecurity training, which is scary, isn't it? And that also compromises the resilience. Two-factor authentication, we talked about multi-factor. Do not recycle your login or credentials, and that happened in South Australia. People were recycling or reusing their password from the very commonly used, like online shopping, to the digital ID. And never mix your work and personal logins. So that's a really scary one. And if you look at it, the online Trust Alliances report, 93% of the breach in 2017 could have been prevented by basic cyber hygiene, and which we do not want to happen. So now I will do a quick activity with you all and see what your response are. So we thank you for sharing your experience on the multi-factor authentication. The next one, how often you change your password for important account? I'm not talking about, the newsletter subscription, but how often you change your password? Less than a month? No. 3 months, within 3 months, sometimes 66 months, sometimes you can't remember.
Hi, Dr. Abu. I'm going to jump in with a few questions while we wait for a few more responses.
Yep.
We'll just have to end in 5 minutes as well. We've got a few more masterclasses occurring throughout the week. So if anyone would like to also join that would be fantastic. We've got a question from Ravi. Does the defense sector use a similar cybersecurity framework, or do they use something different? He'd like to understand the operational nature.
Yeah, so look, I'll quickly go through these activities and then come back to this question.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. So I can see most of you are here in 6 months. The standard suggestion is in between 3 to 6 months, but when you are going longer, please make sure that your password is strong, 8 to 6 character long, 16, and then have a special characters. And those who are doing can't remember, please change your password today. That's very important. And have you checked your personal identifiable information if it is breached? Maybe the question is yes, no, I don't know how to do it. If it is very simple, go to ACSC website, check, or there is a website called Have I Been Pwned? So that we can build the resilience from the workplace to individual to the nationwide, and we all can contribute, because you told me that cyber resilience is part of everybody's responsibility. So we need to check, we need to see, maybe just Google around and say what information about yourself is publicly available, and then do the further investigation. All right. So if you want to learn more about cybersecurity at UC, we have got a graduate certificate in cybersecurity management, masters of IT, masters of IT and systems, business information. They all have a specialization. Please contact the student recruitment or anything with the subject matter. Just let me know. Now I will go to the question: does defense sector use similar cybersecurity framework? Understanding the operational nature of defense would definitely require extreme level. So look, Essential 8 is the must, I think, for all Australian agencies and defense. And this Essential 8 has been done in cooperation with ASD, defense, everyone. And they might have their own practices as well, which I don't be able to comment. But what I know, they are very much aware of the security controls and having strict controls in practice. People say SMS code, SAMFA could be intercepted. Is it true? If SMS can be intercepted, look, there was a situation in the past, that incident has bypassed the MFAs, but it is not very much common. At least it is enabling you one layer of more protection rather having no protection. Because if you download a malware which is got keylogger, that means whatever you type in, it is going to the hacker. They may not be able to access your phone because you have got the SMS verification. So with that, you could add one more layer of your security. I'm a bit concerned about the time. We have got 4 minutes remaining. But in conclusion, I would say cyber resilience is important to all the organizations to hold critical asset. It is critical to maintain the trust between the customers. And there was a survey which shows that over 60% of the customer would stop using the company's product or service if cyber attack is resulted in a known security breach. And people need to bring the trust up. If you look at Optus, they are doing a lot of campaigns and further security support for the clients so that they don't lose the market share. A comprehensive long-term commitment to cyber resilience must be embedded within the organization's culture. It's not a one-off thing. It's a continuous journey and process. I have tried to answer all of your questions. If I miss anything, you have got the details. So with this, I would like to thank you all for your active participation and support for this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.